This was day 313 of the Trump administration. It brings two new reports that offer a glimpse into the president's thinking as he tries to pass his tax bill, as he faces a growing Russia investigation, and a renewed look at the sexual harassment accusations several women have made against him, accusations he has notably denied and language he has admitted to and apologized for. We'll get to all of it here. The first report from the Washington Post boils down to something near and dear to the president's heart, and that's branding. It says this, quote, Trump has sought to paint the rosiest possible picture of his presidency and his character, and has tried to will others to see it his way, like the big promises salesman he once was. The second piece from the New York Times just tonight paints a picture of a president peddling conspiracy theories and questioning the authenticity of his own voice on the Access Hollywood tape, saying he wanted to investigate it. The report goes on, quote, Mr. Trump's falsehoods about the Access Hollywood tape are part of his lifelong habit of attempting to create and sell his own version of reality. Advisors say he continues to privately harbor a handful of conspiracy theories that have no grounding in fact. In recent months, they say Mr. Trump has used closed-door conversations to question the authenticity of President Barack Obama's birth certificate. He has also repeatedly claimed that he lost the popular vote last year because of widespread voter fraud, according to advisors and lawmakers. Mr. Trump's journeys into the realm of manufactured facts have been frequent enough that his own staff has sought to nudge friendly lawmakers to ask questions of Mr. Trump in meetings that will steer him towards safer terrain. This look inside what Trump says privately comes as he put on a public display today, both at the Capitol and at the White House. First, he visited Republican senators right before the Budget Committee voted to pass the party's tax plan on a party line basis. Here is how he described the meeting to reporters.
It's going to have lots of adjustments before it ends, but the end result would be a very, very massive, the largest in the history of our country, tax cut. And lots of good things are going to happen. So we had a good day today. We had a phenomenal meeting with the Republican senators. We had, it was very special, that meeting. In many respects, I wish you could have been inside that room. It was very, very special. The camaraderie, it was somewhat of a love fest. They want to see it happen.
Earlier in the day, a few hours before he was set to meet with leaders from both parties at the White House, he wrote this on Twitter, and this is important. Meeting with Chuck and Nancy today about keeping government open and working. Problem is, they want illegal immigrants flooding into our country unchecked, are weak on crime, and want to substantially raise taxes. I don't see a deal. Well, when they saw that, Schumer and Pelosi decided against attending the meeting with the president, which led to this appearance by the president. Please note the chairs left empty for dramatic effect.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi did not show up for our meeting today. I'm not really that surprised. We have a lot of differences. They're weak on crime. They're weak on illegal immigration. They want the illegal folks to come pouring into our border, and a lot of problems are being caused, although we've stopped it to a large extent, as much as you can without the wall, which we're going to get. The other thing, they want tax increases, and we want major tax decreases. So they decided not to show up. They've been all talk, and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
Nicole Wallace, who has a way with words, later said it was staged like an 8th grade play. And if the empty chairs were at all ambiguous as a visual, for those who missed the point, there were name placards for both Schumer and Pelosi, both absent. Let's turn to our leadoff panel tonight, shall we? Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times. Ashley Parker, White House reporter for the Washington Post, who is one of the authors of the piece we just quoted. And Sam Stein, politics editor for the Daily Beast. All three are MSNBC political analysts. Peter, I'd like to begin with you. Can you shed some light on the thinking of this man, the president, who you so closely study, especially in recent months? And We saw him on camera today. We heard his voice. We see the political skullduggery he's about. And then tonight we hear from aides. We hear from elected representatives. This is a guy still pushing conspiracy theories.
Well, that's right. Look, this is not new. This is who Donald Trump has been all along. He pushes his own narrative. He creates narratives in his own mind and then either convinces himself or at least tries to convince others that they're true. And we've seen this time and time again, whether it's the Obama birth certificate conspiracy theory, whether it's the Obama supposedly wiretapping Trump Tower, whether it's the notion that out of it by 3 million phantom voters out there who all voted against him. He not only does he create narratives, he is immune to any facts that are presented to him that are contrary to that. So to the point where he listens to this tape of his own voice commenting that he himself acknowledged was true. Now he's somehow twisted that around to suggest that somehow that's fake in some way. This is part and parcel of who he is, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. This is something we knew about even before the election.
Sam Stein, I am not a mental health professional. I may need one before this is over, but I've heard them talk about cases like the president. Again, professionals who have not treated the president, they always lead with that caveat, saying this is one of the markers of narcissism, needing your world to adhere to your story. All of it has to be together as a package going forward. The problem is, on a day like today, with all of this happening, if the North Koreans had figured out a way to straighten out the track of a missile like today's, we may be yanked into a very different story.
Yeah, I want to step back for a second and just tell the viewer how remarkable it is that we're even talking about this. This used to be political terrain that people didn't touch. Armchair psychology, the Goldwater rule, stuff like that, where you weren't supposed to diagnose or attempt to diagnose or even talk about the psychology of a president. But we are at this point in large part because Trump has brought us here, where he questions realities, where he creates his own realities. And I think the real existential question is, does he believe the universe that he's creating, or is this all an act that he's perpetuating for a larger means? And I don't know, and I don't think anyone truly does know, but that's the critical question here. And then there's the other critical question, which you raised, which is how much of this is distraction and how much of this is purposeful distraction? Is he distracting from some bigger picture, and is he distracting himself from some bigger problems? North Korea was obviously the most important thing that happened today, but we're also in the midst of a massive, monumental tax overhaul that's happening in this country, and we're spending a lot of our time wondering, is Trump really fundamentally believing that Obama's birth certificate were fake? It's a bit of mixed priorities here.
Sam, you're absolutely right to call this uncomfortable territory. This is new ground. We don't talk about the mental health of our president. Seems to me the last time this rose to the public sphere was Richard Nixon during times of what's now written about heavy drinking, heavy delusion in the final days of his presidency. Ashley, there's another thing, and that is Mar-a-Lago. This president has a kind of terrarium atmosphere of friends and paying guests that become his world of contact for the days he is down there. And it's very important because of what he takes away, the echo chamber effect that he takes away from these encounters.
That's exactly right. It's sort of an atmosphere of courtesans coming to pay their respects to their king, or in this case, their president. And our reporting shows us that when the president was down there over the Thanksgiving holiday, a lot of these wealthy club members were coming up to him and sort of giving him messages that fit into exactly the reality he is trying to create, which was that you're doing a great job, you do have all of these accomplishments, and the media just simply isn't reflecting that. That was a message he internalized, he stewed over. It was a message he was also happy to hear as it aligns with what he said. And you'll notice his first tweet back on his first full day in Washington on Monday was one attacking the media and joking that we shall be vying for a fake news trophy. So it's an environment that he very much enjoys. It's also an environment where he's a little unfettered. A lot of aides and family members didn't go down with him this time, and our understanding is he was talking to friends freely there. He was calling friends freely on the phone. But he then does often come back with some of these ideas in his head that are often based in conspiracy theory.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.